This year's top NBA free agents. This list includes new champion Anthony Davis, who opted out of his deal this week. The Browns, joined by Brandon Ingram, Fred VanVleet, and Montrezl Harrell, who averaged career highs in points last season. On that note, we bring in NBA insider Brian Windhorst. Windy, always good to see you. It's been a while. I like the sport coat. I will get to you in just a minute, sir, but I'm going to start with you, Stephen A. Stephen A., tell me this. Which NBA team needs to make a big move in free agency?
Well, it's two teams that stand out in my mind. One would be the Boston Celtics, because we've seen what's been transpiring in the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks are better. The Philadelphia 76ers are better. Obviously, the Brooklyn Nets with KD coming back is going to be better. We can't sneeze at Miami, who took Boston out in the conference finals. So we've got to pay attention to all of those things. And I think that with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown showing you what they bring to the table, particularly now with Gordon Hayward departing, and I think that's a good thing, because I think that he's a good player and should be somewhere else. But I don't know if Boston was the ideal situation for him. I definitely think that they've got to make sure that they upgrade their depth and get a third guy to pair with Tatum and Jaylen Brown to make some things happen. It would be Boston and, of course, the Los Angeles Clippers out west, because with everything that the Lakers have done, with Denver arriving on the scene, taking out the Clippers in the postseason and doing what they're doing and looking as good as they're looking, I definitely think if you're going to sit up there and acquire Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and give up the assets that Kawhi Leonard mandated you had to give up in order to get what he wanted, you better have something to show for it other than a semifinal berth in the conference, in the Western Conference. You got to do better than that. If you're Ballmer and you got a new coach now in Ty Lue, you got to do something with that as well. So those are the two teams that stand in my mind, Boston and LA Clippers.
In terms of a big move, I mean, the Knicks could finally prove that someone who's not just a little below average will take $20 million plus from them. That's sorry franchise. Like, Gordon Hayward's not an all-star anymore, and he had a catastrophic injury not that long ago, and he's getting a little older. But I'd say he's an above-average starter. And that would be the first time an above-average starter took the Knicks' money. It would have to be a max contract, by the way, in what, infinity? In infinity years? So, I guess I could say that. But you know what the truth is for me, guys? And I don't mean actually, necessarily signing a free agent, but making a move during this free agency period, is I think it's the Warriors. The Warriors do have talent. It really depends on what Wiseman is, right? Steph is coming back. Wiggins has talent, but he has an onerous contract. Wiseman obviously has a lot of upside. We'll see what his floor is. But they don't have any shooting, no shooting. And sure, they could make the playoffs, Stephen A., like you said, because if 10 teams, don't tell me 8 teams and then 9 and 10 in a play-in game. If you're playing after the season, over 72 games are over, you're playing a game, that's the postseason. So if 2/3, 10 out of 15 teams in each conference, make the postseason, sure, the Warriors could do that, but they ain't going anywhere, because they have literally not even one average shooter on the team other than Steph Curry. Everyone, all their high-usage players are at best below-average shooters, including Oubre, by the way, including Wiggins, and obviously Pascal or Wiseman, right? They really need to bring in some pieces like the moves Daryl Morey just made, where he gets Danny Green and Seth Curry, gets out of bad contracts, but gets guys who can really shoot, and one of them can play defense too. You got to make a move. We've seen in Milwaukee and a few other places, guys bringing in some shooting. The Warriors, of all teams, desperately need some shooting. So I think that's the move that needs to be made most right now.
You guys bring up some really good points. One of the players that the Warriors targeted before making the Oubre deal, I'm told, is J.J. Redick from the New Orleans Pelicans, who obviously is one of the best shooters in the league. Pelicans were not amenable to making a deal under the terms, but keep an eye on that situation as things go forward. And I agree with Stephen A. The Celtics have kind of been a hub of free agency the last few years, having stars like Kemba Walker and Al Horford come in, and then having guys like Kyrie Irving, Al Horford go. Gordon Hayward, whether you think he's a fit for the Celtics or not, leaving for nothing is not ideal for them. And so even though he's opted out, it's not over between those sides. They could still work on a sign and trade. The two options for Gordon Hayward, if he wants to sign outright, are probably the Knicks and the Hornets. And there have been discussions there. But a place that he's interested in would be the Indiana Pacers, where he is from and maintains an off-season home. So keep an eye on whether the Pacers and the Celtics can work out some kind of sign and trade deal as an option for Gordon Hayward. But I also agree with Stephen A. on the Clippers. Let's not forget that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have the option to be free agents after this season. They are under some measure of pressure to improve. Now, this is not a star-studded free agent class. They are not going to execute a star player move today in all likelihood. But both of their centers, Montrezl Harrell and Marcus Morris, are free agents. They have to make smart moves there, whether it's re-signing both or one or the other. And they have got to do something at the point guard position, whether that's a trade involving Lou Williams or Patrick Beverley, or whether that's using their free agent money to look at bringing in a player like Rajon Rondo. But ultimately, the Clippers need some upgrades to this team.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.